Overall, it's probably easier and more efficient to browse and shop the App Store from iTunes on your computer because you can use a mouse, a real keyboard, and you have more screen real estate to browse with. But I've probably bought the majority of my apps from my iPhone simply because I've had it with me while waiting for a plane, or sitting in a hotel lobby waiting to meet someone, or just hanging around at home. Now, this isn't to say that browsing for apps is difficult on the iPhone either. It's a smaller screen and interface, but you can still find the exact same apps and see the exact same details for each app as you can through iTunes. So to browse the App Store from your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch, tap the App Store icon. Across the bottom of the screen, you'll see 5 buttons that offer different ways for browsing through the store. The first item is Featured. This is where you'll find the apps that Apple is currently recommending. This collection is updated often, and it's a good area to get a broad scope of many different types of apps. At the top of Featured, you'll usually find a scrolling banner, and under that you'll find categories like Best New Apps, which shows you the newest apps to hit the store. Under that, you'll find a variety of different categories that change frequently. Currently, we have Best New Games, Previous Editor's Choices, Spooky Stories, since we're coming up on Halloween. And you'll also find buttons to things like the App of the Week, Games, Kids Apps, and so on. And as you can see, you can flick through each of these categories horizontally to browse through them. You can tap See All next to any category to see more items in that list. Tap any app to read more about it. The next section at the bottom is Top Charts. Here you'll find the top apps in the categories of paid, meaning apps that cost money, free, and top grossing, which shows the apps that have earned the most money. Again, just scroll through any of these lists to browse through the contents. Next is Near Me, which is a new category introduced in iOS 7. This is a section that uses your location information to display apps that are popular near your current location. I'll tap Show Popular Apps Near Me. I'll allow the App Store to use my location. And now I get some local recommendations. So for example, I'm currently in central Pennsylvania, so I see the popular local apps are for places like Hershey Park, local news sources around here like ABC 27 and Penn Live, and there's also a local banks app listed here at the top. In a larger city like New York, you might find apps for navigating the subway, calling cabs, or making reservations at local restaurants. The Near Me category can be really handy when you're traveling to see what apps people are using where you are, and it can help you find some really useful apps and tools specific to your location. The fourth section here is Search, and this works a lot like the search bar in iTunes on your computer, only instead of searching the entire store, the search bar here only searches the App Store, which makes sense since you're obviously searching for apps if you're in the App Store. Just type your search term, for example, running, and after a moment you'll be offered some suggestions. You can either tap one of the suggestions to search that term, or just tap the search button on the keyboard to search for the word or phrase you typed in. And after a moment, your search results appear in this horizontally scrolling list. Now this is one area where I think it's easier to work on your computer in iTunes. You can see at the top in the search bar that there are over 2,200 results for my search, and the only way to browse through them here is to keep flicking them to the left. In iTunes on your computer, it's much easier to see multiple app results at once, so unless I narrow down my search terms, I'd have to keep flicking one app at a time to see them all. But if you do find one that looks interesting, you can tap it to see its details. Now, if you watched the earlier movie on browsing the App Store in iTunes, this is the same app we looked at in that example, and here we're seeing the exact same information as we did in iTunes, and it's laid out pretty similarly on the iTunes App Store. We have 3 tabs to look through. Under Details, you can see a selection of screenshots that you can flick through. Below those, you'll find a description of the app, as well as a What's New section, so you can see what the developer has added or fixed in the current version of the app. And below that, you'll find additional information like the size of the app, its version number, and you can check out things like the version history, developer info, and the developer's website. The next tab is Reviews, and here you can see how many customer ratings have been left for this app, and you can read reviews from people who have used it. And under the Related tab, you'll find a list of more apps from this developer, if any exist, and a list of apps that customers who bought this app also bought. Again, this is all the same information you'll find in iTunes on your computer. The last button at the bottom of the screen is Updates. Most developers release frequent updates to their apps, usually to fix bugs or to add new features. In the Updates area, you'll find any apps you have installed that have updates available. Now, by default in iOS 7, apps automatically update themselves when they detect that updates are available. So oftentimes you'll open this Updates screen to find a list of recently updated apps. If you prefer, you can choose not to have apps update themselves automatically, but instead, apps with available updates will show up here on this screen with an update button next to them. To set this up, go to Settings, iTunes and App Store, and here slide the update switch to off. That way, when you go to the update screen in the App Store, you can read about the updates under What's New, and you can install updates on an app-by-app basis. So instead of having an open button, they'll have an update button. You'll also see an update all button if you want to update all the apps at once. Also here in the update section, you'll find the purchased area. This is a useful area that shows you all the apps you've ever purchased through your account. Notice we have an all category, which shows you all of the apps you've purchased. And there's also a not on this phone category, which will show you just the apps you've purchased but aren't currently installed on your device. You can also perform a search for the app by typing in its name if you can't find it by scrolling. Notice each one of these apps has a little download icon next to it. So because it's recognized that you've already downloaded or purchased these apps, you can just download them again to your device. Just tap the download button, and the app will start downloading. If I go out to my home screen, I can see it loading here. So it's that easy to install apps you've already purchased or downloaded. And that's the gist of browsing the App Store from your iPhone, iPad, or iPod Touch. Coming up, we'll take a look at how to purchase and install apps once you find some that you'd like to try out.